So this should, if we're lucky, get us started. Oh, there we go. Nice. Sam, how are you? I'm just going to focus you.
Hello.
Hello. There we go. You look pretty focused now. I think we'll go up the top. Nice one. Cheers. Yeah, buddy. It's good to see you.
As we say in Wales, iechyd da.
Ah.
It means good health, literally.
Mm. It's a good thing about the alcoholic kombucha. You've got that nice blend of the alcohol fun and the kombucha.
Where's it available?
In a heap of supermarkets, in New World supermarkets in New Zealand, is the best place to get it.
Just doing a product.
Shameless plug for Renee's product. Happy Hour, yeah, Mama's Brew Shop, Happy Hour, hard kombucha. It's good gear. You can buy it online too, the website, Mama's Brew Shop.
I don't think it's alcoholic enough.
It's very easy to drink, these ones, the ginger beer ones.
Oh, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You can have 10 cans of it.
Yeah.
And your gut's great, but you waste it.
Well, this is the thing. I've got to admit, if I was to sit down and drink beer, like beer for beer, with that ginger hard kombucha, I would certainly feel better after the kombucha than the beer.
Yeah, I'd be asleep.
Well, yeah, I just think there's different. They're a different mix. You know, one of them's beer, wheat-based product, I suppose, and this isn't. This is tea. It's a totally different, makeup internally. So what's going into your gut is different. Yeah.
Get it in you.
Yeah. Ooh. Pardon me. What were you saying the guy's, your friend's name was before? Chris who?
Chris Clay.
Chris Clay. From where? Mind Labs.
He used to work for Mind Labs. Doesn't anymore. Now works for himself. And he just has a really good brain. Very free thinker.
Yeah.
Free thinker. He only has three thoughts a day. What? But yeah, he moved up to Lee. In the same way that you moved out of the town of Auckland up to here, he moved up to Lee, and it's a very similar house. But I got life goal envy here.
Man, when we moved up here, we thought to ourselves, "What have we done?" Because but we were living in Freeman's Bay, like right in the heart of the city, to then move out to this little town, 2,500 people, we knew no one. We really thought, shit, what have we done? Are we going to have no? And we just had a new baby. We had a 2-year-old, and then a new baby just turned up as we got here. We were just thinking to ourselves, this might be a really bad idea. However, what we didn't realise is there's a great community here, like really great community of people. There's the kids' sporting scene is really strong. There's a bunch of nice people. The schools are really close, so we walk kids to school. We can walk them to high school when they go to high school. And then we got really lucky with Renee's kombucha business.
Where's it available?
We got an investor in the business, really cool guy, and basically said to him, "Look, there's an old butchery on the main street of town, which is dormant and vacant.
Perfect.
Can we get that?" We originally wanted to get it because it had a cool store inside of it, the old cool store freezer, and we thought that's going to be perfect for holding our stock. As it turned out, we couldn't use that, but he just said, "Yep, okay, sure, I'll buy the building," and then he allowed us to gut it. And so we turned it into a really cool little cafe, which we called the Kombuchery. And so we had the cool cafe out the front, and then we had our brewing. You have a big window. You could see the tanks and stuff brewing, and the office out the back. That for us was invaluable because we got to meet so many people in the community because of that. Yes. After we'd been here for maybe it was like 6 or 9 months or something. This room was the original brewery. This little studio used to be where they brewed. Yeah, it still smells like kombucha on a good day. But that was good for moving out of the city because we got to meet everyone.
I've seen friends do it the way you've done it. Move to somewhere where there is a community.
Yeah,
I think is key. I call her a co-parent because that's what she is. My co-parent and I bought a house in a place called Tikohanga in northern Waikato that was very isolated. So we did that. It was a 90-minute commute into the city.
That's a long trip into the city.
It is. 45 minutes if you leave early enough. But we didn't quite get it right. I think it was maybe a bit too isolated. And she was so awesome that I gave her the house. But yeah, I don't think we quite thought, completed the thought process of what we were actually doing. But I've got friends that have, a guy that I know through CrossFit who's moved to Mangawai, Aaron McAwee, and his wife Jo. But I met them both through CrossFit, and they are nailing it in Mangawai. Yeah. You guys out here, Chris in Lee. Got some friends that have moved out to the southern Manukau Heads and started a little farm.
Oh, nice.
So it's you gotta have a look at what scares you when you do stuff like that, and is it just a fear of the unknown, or is it a genuine
danger and risk? Yeah,
But yeah, I think humans need more nature in their lives,
Yeah.
And I think out here you're much closer to it.
Yeah.
Than you are in one of the older suburbs of Auckland, which are quite congested, like Freeman's Bay, Parnell, Ponsonby.
Oh yeah.
It's nature is quite hard to get to.
Our kids get a lot more mud on them now than they would, I think, if they were living in the city where we used to be.
So that's an interesting thing. I firmly believe that mud builds immunity.
Mud and dogs.
Dogs, yes,
dogs.
Right.
Dogs. Kids, families that have dogs when the kids are young, those kids grow up with less autoimmune issues because the dogs are just introducing them to so many different viruses and bacteria and germs as they're little. They get this little tired dog, licks them on the face, the dog's been eating crap out of the yard, that their immune systems build up, and so then when they're challenged with that when they're older, it doesn't seem to trigger an autoimmune or a problem for them.
I grew up in West Wales in a little village called Llanfernach, which is near the Preseli Hills where the blue stones for Stonehenge came from, right? So it's a very old part of the world. And there was a disused slate mine. School holidays, I disappeared for a whole day.
Oh, yeah.
It's a miracle I didn't fall down a mine shaft, but I would come back covered, head to toe black. And I go on my own. I just go off and find shit and build shit and break shit and I think there's a reason that we have so many allergies in kids is because there's a sterilization of life, especially with things like COVID. It's like, oh, you must wash your hands every day, like 4 times a day, or, hand sanitizer, or, and I see it in particular cultures as well, where they're like, no germs.
Yeah.
Germs are bad. And it's like, well, really?
Apparently there's a connection between a real phobia of germs and that hyper-cleanliness and tyrannical government.
Huh.
Yeah. Like, I think Hitler...
I didn't think you would say that.
I think Hitler was a germaphobe, like a big germaphobe.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the detail of it, but it just comes into this whole idea of cleanliness and control of the environment, and that extends out as like an ideology or a thought process across the country or wherever it is. It starts to be led by someone with that that direction in their feelings and their thinking, I guess.
So do you think that in New Zealand, because we live in Jacindastan, that's a thing here?
I don't know if that's what's driving. If that's what's driving Jacinda, I think Jacinda's probably just more. I think just an old traditional socialist, just never moved beyond that, never looked any further.
I agree.
And never looked at maybe what the end goal might be. Of just having the government controlling everything for everyone, and
there's no playbook on a global pandemic. I think she'll look back and, everyone involved in the decision making will look back and go, maybe that wasn't quite right, but, A
lot of big mistakes. Australia this week, they've just shut down their Victorian COVID camp they set up like the big, all the porta cabins, thousands of porta cabins, which housed, I don't know, a couple of hundred people. I think it was it was something ridiculous. I think it was like about $250,000, $220,000 per cabin is what it worked out for. Like the number of people they put there in quarantine, what it cost them. It cost them $60 million to build them, and 180 people went through. I'm making the numbers up, but it was like a massive expense per person. So that's things like that. You're kind of thinking, Jesus, if you did that as your own business, like if you're a privately run business, you'd be out of business. You'd just be out. But government just, we'll do it. It might be a good idea. There seems to be a lot of waste in government.
Oh, yeah. That's
inefficiency.
True. That's definitely true.
I think that's a definition of big government. It's inefficient.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure that democracy works as it is.
You know what? You're the first person that I've spoken to that said that. Yeah, I agree. Democracy's not perfect. I guess that's the way I put it. Democracy isn't the panacea.
Yeah,
it's not perfect.
When the most successful person, the most successful investor in the US stock markets is not Warren Buffett. It's Nancy Pelosi.
Is it?
Who is I'm not sure of her title, the head of the Democrats.
Yeah.
And she's just vetoed a bill that was preventing people in politics from investing in the stocks and shares and whatever. And it's like, she's worth $200 million.
Yeah.
And she wants more.
And she's on what, 200,000 a year?
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah, look, I don't know what's better. I'm not suggesting that I have a better solution. Democracy, I think, probably for most of the world is good. You look at the Western world. We've developed a lot. Our healthcare is pretty good. Our people's lifespans are increasing. People are living longer. So if you use that as your marker to judge,
there's never been a better time to be alive.
Yeah, and so the Western world tend to be democracies. So there's definitely democracy. Democracy works, but again, I don't think it's perfect.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
and I guess the other side of the continuum is communism.
Yeah,
and we can ask North Korea how that's going.
Yeah, or Russia,
whatever.
Yeah, or China.
But it's, I don't know.
But that's
money corrupts every single time.
Yeah,
and so does power. And I have felt very fortunate to live in New Zealand over the last 3 years with the pandemic, because there aren't many people here. And there is, I like the emphasis on kindness that Jacinda has brought to things. I also think that she'll be gone by Christmas.
Yeah.
I think she'll quit like John Key.
And you think she'll quit?
I think so. She won't want to go, she'll want to finish on a good note.
You don't think she'll get through the next election then?
Well, no, I don't. I hope that she would, because I'm a socialist bastard. I think she will. I think Labour are preparing to lose that election. Mm-hmm. Talking to people in Wellington, but I mean that's the way it goes. That's the cycle. So,
yeah, I don't know if she would lose the next election. I know there will be a lot of vocal dissent. People who don't support her. They'll be very vocal.
Definitely. Well, the protests in Wellington for the they called them anti-mandate protests, but it was just anyone that wanted to whinge about anything sort of showed up, and it was quite a confused message, I think. But people like that, they're sort of always going to be anti-establishment, whoever's in charge.
Yeah, I think she's just with the handling of the pandemic, that she's put a lot of people offside with her. By taking that Western approach of, we will dictate that you have to have vaccines, and that's something that had never happened before to that extent. Like, right. I don't think that ever as like perhaps the number one news item for years, months at least on end, but probably a year, was that topic. That's something that's never happened before. I think a lot of people have just felt like that was actually a step too far towards tyranny and that socialist control.
Yeah. And that's the precedent now. So that's what's become acceptable, and it will never come back from that. So, it's not too many steps to a social credit system.
Oh no!
And then what happens if there's a digital currency that's linked to a social credit system? And if oh no, that's what China are doing.
That's what China are doing right now.
Maybe we won't do that. But I mean, hey, it's not a million miles.
I think the response to COVID by most of the Western world followed exactly what China did. Remember, China said we're doing the big lockdowns. That's where it started. Then it was like, oh, Italy's locking down, and now we're locking down. So the whole social credit system, again, if you like the socialist governments, their ideology is that the group is more important than the individual, and the government will look after everyone. The government knows better. So it's going to be, I think, New Zealand in a couple of years, there will be some sort of debate or referendum about, yes, we will be introducing the New Zealand digital currency, and you'll all have to use that, and there'll be no more cash. And then you'll be in exactly that position like in China. I saw a tweet yesterday of people in China who once a week, I think it is, have to turn up to a testing site to get tested for COVID, to make sure they're clear of COVID, to activate their access and travel cards so they can get to work. Like, that's not a fun place to be in.
This makes you burp, this kombucha. Excuse me. I'm quietly burping away here.
It's got some fizz to it.
Yeah, it's good. It's so good. Yeah, geez. Should we start the podcast?
Yeah. Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Well,
have you got some notes?
I got some notes.
Nice.
I just prepared. Yeah, I guess. Well, you suggested what was it? Cross stitch.
Yeah, you're a big cross. I know you're a big fan of cross
stitcher.
stitch. Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've represented New Zealand at cross stitch. Actually, someone sent me a video meme the other day about CrossFit, and it was like, "What's CrossFit?" And she goes, "It's where I cross my fingers and hope that my clothes fit." Yeah. So,
what is it about CrossFit that's made it so popular, you reckon?
Well, good question. It was so CrossFit started in the 90s. The guy that started it is known as Coach Glassman, and he calls himself a rabid libertarian. You could translate that to be a complete fucking arsehole, but what he's done is genius. Who he is, and as people accuse CrossFit of being a cult, and I met the leader, who is Coach Glassman, and he said it wasn't. So, but what is it? Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think it came along. So I started CrossFit 2009. The first CrossFit Games were 2007. And I think CrossFit.com first came about in around 2000.
Right.
And so what Glassman has done, he was it was in Silicon Valley in the 90s, and he saw that fitness at that time in Silicon Valley there was a lot of ineffective and dangerous training. And he also noticed that there was no real measurable definition of fitness. So what he's done, he has taken a number of different sports, effectively, or modalities. So you've got Olympic lifting, which is a mainstay of CrossFit. You've got powerlifting, you've got strongman, you've got gymnastics. So within gymnastics, it's body weight, any body weight movement. You've got monostructural movements like running, rowing, skipping. Any machine, any cardio machine, except for a stepper. You'll never see a stepper at a CrossFit gym. But it's all what you would call functional. Now, I challenge that because I have never seen anyone do a handstand press-up outside of a CrossFit gym unless they're drunk. Like, you don't see them in Countdown. It's like, come on. And, that a lot of chiropractors make a lot of money from handstand press-ups, but they're not a big fan of them. But so what he's done, he's taken those sports, put them together to form a thing called CrossFit, right? So the definition of CrossFit, and I wrote this down, I prepared some notes so I don't get it wrong, is constantly varied, not random. Some people call it random. Constantly varied functional movements performed at a relatively high intensity. That's the
definition of what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what he's done, he's sort of productized all these different sports, packaged them up, put them on the internet. And I think the difference with CrossFit is he's done all that, which was never done before, but also it's the community. The community is...
That's what it feels like to me is the important thing.
It's so strong. It's key.
Yeah. It's what draws people to it. It sounds like that. You build up your little family, your CrossFit family.
Yeah.
You know, and in your club, and that's what draws people.
We call them boxes.
Boxes, do you?
In your box.
In your box.
It's a gym.
Yeah.
And yeah, 100%. 100%. And like, I think about what it is with people that go to a CrossFit, and they all want to improve themselves.
Yeah.
They all want to be healthier, better people.
Mm-hmm.
And like CrossFit gets a lot of criticism for injuries. And
do you see a lot of injuries in CrossFit?
Well, it's like anything. You use a hammer incorrectly, you're going to hurt yourself.
Oh.
So, I mean, yes, you do, but it's not always the cause of CrossFit that brings those injuries. You know, like, yeah, like if you've got, and one thing I think about as well is that CrossFit it's much more than a lot of people have ever put their bodies through. You know, for people in, you know, blue collar people in Parnell, this is the closest that they'll ever come to going to war, right?
Mm.
And that's why the community is strong. You go through hard stuff every class.
Yeah.
And then you high five at the end, give each other COVID and move on.
You got some shared experience.
Yeah. And
it's competitive. It's competitive, not against each other, but against your personal best.
Well, that's the other thing, is that he's American, and so he's added that competitive edge that you get in American society. And so you do compete against your mates, but the most important person to compete against is yourself. So because it's measurable, you can do the same workout at a different time, and the measurement is done by how fast you do it, how many reps you do, how many rounds you do, or how much you lift. Okay. And so that's a data point that you can look back at and go, oh, I'm getting fitter, I'm doing more work.
Yeah. Well, that's why I can see I can imagine that you would get injuries, but that's to be expected if you're pushing yourself. If you're trying to competitively beat what you've done before, then it's like anything. You're going to, I don't know, anything that you're trying to go beyond your limits, you're going to make mistakes and crash and hurt yourself. But that's the growth part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many bumper sticker sayings with CrossFit. This is one of them. You fail at the margins of your experience.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think, you can be a dick and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Your coach can be a dick and hurt you because he's programming, 3 workouts at a long period back to back. That's, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But also, like, your body might show up something when you're 20 that you address when you're 20 and move on from, that you may not see until you're 80. And so isn't it better to go, I've got a problem in my back. When you're 20, you've got the rest of your life to recover from it. But had you not been doing CrossFit, you may never, or any sport, not just CrossFit, you may not have known about that and addressed the issue at that point in time. So I think, it's fucking hard. Like, you push yourself. And I'm also...
I think it's clever. For a couple of reasons. I've never done CrossFit purely because I don't have one close to me. So travel time would be an issue from where I am, you know. Like I don't believe there's one here in town. If there was one in town, I might consider it, I guess. But I think it's clever, the community aspect that's been built into it and the personal best thing, the way that it seems. Because like, when I used to go to the gym, you know, I'd go on my own to the gym. I'd go to work and in the morning I'd go to the gym and I had my routine and yeah, I would measure myself in there. I'd be like, I know how much weight I can push here on the shoulder press and can I do that many reps? And so I was loosely tracking it, you know. But I think if you're actually going to a session, you're doing something repeatable and you've recorded what your last time or weight was, that mentally is engaging you to go, okay, I'm going to turn up next week because I want to beat that. You know, I just want to beat that a little bit and get past that. And then you beat it. And you get the endorphin hit, you feel good. Hey, I beat it. You high-fived your friend who's just beaten theirs. You're like, I fucking love coming here. Yeah, that's clever, that way that's being packaged up, I think.
Exactly. And it's
and it's good for you. It's healthy.
Yeah. And they do. I mean,
do people actually think that CrossFit's bad? Like, do people actually really bag CrossFit and go, oh, it's shit, it's bad? Or
oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wankers.
Like, not so much these days, but like the Exercise Association of New Zealand, a name I won't mention, but he disparaged CrossFit in a newspaper article. This is about 10 years ago. And like what he was saying had no evidential basis.
Right.
And CrossFit, if you use the name, it's American. So if you use the name CrossFit without being affiliated and paying the money, they'll come after you.
Yeah.
In the same way. And so they
fair enough.
They protect CrossFit. That's part of what the affiliates get. But I think there's a lot of CrossFit affiliates. So to affiliate in CrossFit, you need to do a weekend course, which costs $1,000 US, and then you need to pay a yearly affiliation, which is $3,000. So the barriers to entry are real low. But Coach Glassman's idea was that market forces will dictate who survives and who perishes, but you have to have a mature market for that and competition between gyms. If you're the only gym in Helensville, it doesn't matter how shit you are, people are still going to show up.
Yeah.
A lot of affiliates are not using CrossFit in their name because of there is a perception that it's scary, and maybe not so much now, but there is a sort of perception that you could get hurt.
I can imagine, but this is like any gym. I imagine.
100%.
But I imagine there is that perception that if you're not a gym goer, if you haven't done it before, there's always that hesitancy, like, am I going to go there and not be able to do it? Or I don't know what it's going to be like. And everyone there's going to be super fit and I'm not going to be super fit. No, they're going to make fun of me. Of course they're not. But you can see how the brain goes that way. I can
100%. But you wouldn't not go to Paris if you didn't speak French.
Yeah.
You know?
But I agree. I'm not saying
there's a sort of a cognitive dissonance with that. I'm not fit enough to go and do the thing that's going to get me fit.
It's like, what's me? Like I'm looking at going to start doing some jiu-jitsu, and I'll do it because I'm mature enough and comfortable in being who I am to go through that. But part of my brain does go, oh, I'm going to sort of put myself out there. I'm going to turn up and be the only 50-year-old dude there who can't do this.
Yeah.
Everyone else there is going to be like way younger than me and way better than me. But I've kind of turned that round in my mind into, well, that's the fun challenge for me, is that I'm going to be the dude who turns up, who doesn't know anything on day one, but, you know, I'll do it and I'll get better. And ultimately the people will be like, oh, that guy's okay, you know, he was 50 and he can't bend his back, but he came and did it. So I kind of see the positive, but I can see how people would go, shit, I don't want to do that because everyone's going to be fit and strong and I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I take out of what you've just said is, first of all, you're 50?
Yeah, man, I'm 50. 51 this year.
Show 52. Me your papers. That's bullshit. Look at this guy. Or show me your papers or your moisturizer. So with CrossFit, another bumper sticker is you've got to leave your ego at the door. Same with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's for me as a guy, sort of try to be an alpha male, but I'm probably more an omega male. You know, you see guys come in, they have a training history, strong as fuck, move like shit. For them to be, you have to be coachable as well at CrossFit. Like,
you have a coach.
Yeah,
You're right.
Every class has a coach, and so within that as well, you're sort of getting a personal. You're getting a personal attention from the coach in every class. There might be 10 or 15 of you in the class, but it's sort of like you're getting a PT every time with 10 other people.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's worth the cost of going to a CrossFit affiliate. But yeah, you have to leave your ego at the door. And for me, that was a big thing. I'm like, oh, I've got an ego. Shit. Like, egos are good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Elon Musk and what he's done. That's, you could argue that a lot of that is because he's got a fucking massive ego. But so it's also like it's sort of become my identity as well. It's like it's what I go to when I want to do something. And I used to think that I was a bit of a zealot about it. Like, everyone should do CrossFit, and they say you drink the Kool-Aid, and but I think I've realized that actually humans just need to move, and they need community, and they need nature, all of which, maybe not so much nature, but community and movement is two of the pyramid of human needs.
That's the thing. I think that's why it's so popular. And it makes complete sense. And I don't think it's a bad thing to promote. People moving your body. You've got a physical body. You've got a mind. You've got a spiritual part of you, but you've got a physical part of you. You've got to keep the body moving and doing things. If you don't, you seize up. And being 50, at 50 was when I noticed it. You heal. It takes longer to heal if you hurt yourself these days. It just takes longer to heal.
Clearly don't do CrossFit.
Yeah.
I've been feeling like this since I was 30.
Yeah. But you do. Getting people to get out and do something is a great idea. CrossFit sounds like a lot of fun. I got to admit, it sounds like fun.
Well, that's part of its growth was that you could just do it yourself in your garage.
Yeah. But that sucks. I've got weights here.
I can't do that.
No, I've got a boxing bag here. I never use it. Well, I occasionally use them, but not like I'd like to.
It's a great ornament, mate.
Yeah, but they're good. They're good fun, but it's not the same as that community.
Exactly. And so, CrossFitters that become competitive and do well, that train on their own, I'm like, how do you even do that? Like, because living rurally, I had a pretty good setup in the gym.
Yeah.
And my preference was to go to the box where I was a coach, and the community and people, and so you can do it yourself, but again, the motivation.
It's not just.
You've got to have a lot of discipline.
Yeah, you do. If you're going to do it on your own, if you're going to train hard on your own, you've got to have a lot of discipline. You've got to have a strange, disciplined mind to do that.
You've got to be a bit of a psycho, I think.
You were something unusual because you're making that choice to that time when I'm going to train, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do it on my own. No one's going to see me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it on my own. It's not instead of I'm going to go and train with my bunch of friends and have that social fun aspect as well. I know for me, when we moved out here, so there is a gym out here. There's a couple of gyms out here, but I've never gone to them since I've been here.
Yeah, right.
Because for me, I looked at them and I'm like, oh, it's not like the gym I used to go to with you guys.
Les Mills?
Yeah. But,
Auckland City?
Yeah. But when we used to all go there. There was a big community of people.
Yeah.
That was the fun part about going to the gym. Doing the weights was great. Yeah, we got healthy, we looked good and all that stuff. But the fun part was the people who were there. That's what made it enjoyable. Here, I'm like, I don't know the people there. It's not that many people there.
Well, that's the Eggs Benedict and the coffee after the workout might not be as good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing as well. Like, you can see the sort of the change in the fitness industry from about probably 2010, where people were like, oh, functional fitness, which CrossFit arguably was the catalyst for that. There'll never be another CrossFit because it was such a paradigm shift.
So what's the difference in between, say, CrossFit and the F45?
Well, they're all...
Is F45 just classes, like a group fitness class, short 45 minutes? Is that what that is?
So the only similarity is that they both do functional fitness.
Okay.
And I used to bag on F45. I'm like, what's this gay shit? It's not fucking CrossFit. But I'm like, hang on, I've never done it, so I don't know. So I went and did a class, bored shitless, did some very strange curls with kettlebells, which I'm like, all right, felt odd. But nobody spoke to me. Some people had headphones on. And I'm like, but actually F45 are really struggling as a business.
Well, there you go, because people are allowed to have headphones on and not talk and doesn't have the community. That's why. I can 100% understand that.
Yeah. And also Adam Gilchrist, who runs it, is the
cricketer.
He sees himself as a bit of a guru.
Is that the cricketer? Adam Gilchrist. He runs F45.
Yeah, he owns it. But it's,
Gilly.
I
have no idea.
As a business, it's struggling. But I mean, that's what
Gilly,
I mean.
change the model, man. You got to get people talking, take the headphones off and get them, build the community.
Call it CrossFit with a K and we'll be sweet. Nobody, it's all good.
Yeah.
But if you go back to 2010, you'll see that people realize that functional fitness works because we're humans. And like the GRIT program at Lululemon, F45, I think Orange Theory is functional fitness. There was another one called P90.
Sounds twice as good as F45.
Yeah. And further up the alphabet, so you'll see it first. There's been a few that have come along and sort of competed with CrossFit.
Yeah, but they've missed the key.
Well, they have, because, like I said, there'll never be another CrossFit.
Look, do you remember at Les Mills, do you remember Wiramu used to do his circuit classes?
I talk about him a lot. He's a legend.
Fuck, man.
But
his
that's the other
classes. Now, I never did them because circuit wasn't my thing. But I had been in there some winter mornings when that room was like a rave.
Yes.
It was fucking insane. He was jumping up on the lockers and screaming, and people were going bonkers, and there was mist from sweat from the ceiling. It was nuts.
That guy.
Inexperience.
Oh, 100%. But you've got that community. Like there is parts of CrossFit that can be like circuit training, but not. So But yeah, interesting. Like
that was the thing that broke that was the rule that broke the whatever that saying is. Like normal circuit classes were good; they were a lot of fun, but he somehow took it a step above.
Oh, hey, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I remember he would be jumping up and down on those lockers down the side of that area, and he would shout one thing that I'd never forget. Fat never sleeps. And another thing he did, he used to run a running club, right?
Yeah.
And he used to send people off around the streets of Auckland, and he'd run along and he'd go, "You four go that way, you four go that way, you come with me. Okay, now you go that way and that way." They'd all end up at the gym at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "How the fuck are you doing that?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
just knew them that well, did he? How fast they went?
Wiramu's not his real name either.
Isn't it?
It's John.
Is it?
Apparently.
But again, where I was going with that was, I think his class, and Mark S's and George's, their classes were very good. They just had a personality, and they're able to bring that kind of community. That they get the same people coming back to their classes all the time because it was that fun.
And I was one of those.
Thing.
I used to love Mark's Monday night body attack.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like Renee, we'll hear songs, play some 80s track or something. Come on. Renee will be like, "Oh, that's a Marquez body attack track."
Yeah. I do the same. Yeah. And you start doing the moves. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? It's like a TikTok dance before there was TikTok.
Man. I never did body attack or circuit because the moves were too complex for me. And I'm not lying. I was never coordinated enough. Like I would try to do them and I'd be doing the both hands and leg on one side instead of opposing shit. Like, oh man, it was too bad.
Well, I'm lucky because...
That's why I did boxing.
Yeah.
Just hit something.
That doesn't make any sense. I'm lucky because my dad was black, so I can, got the dance moves.
Yeah, you can tell it shines through.
Yeah, Mark, I don't think he does classes anymore.
I think he does personal training, maybe. The last time, again, this was 2 years ago, it was the last time before the lockdowns that I got into the gym.
Yeah.
I think he was doing some personal training. I don't know.
I lived with him for a bit.
Did you?
Good dude. Yeah, good human. Yeah,
good guy.
I haven't been in touch with him for years.
Has he got the oversized motorcycle helmet or a large head? Because whenever I used to see him on his moped, he always seemed to have like a matchstick, like just this massive helmet head. I wonder if you can can you buy big helmets? Because that's what it looked like. It was like a big helmet.
He used to rip into me every Monday morning after Wales would invariably lose to the All Blacks. And I can't wait for them to beat them this November because I'm going to call them and I'm going to say, hello, Mark. How are you, mate? Yeah. But yeah, so CrossFit, I think the other thing that CrossFit does is the emphasis on health, but not conventional health. You know?
Is it actually part of CrossFit, your diet? Is that part of it? Or does that just come with it? Is that just something that's just joined it along naturally, symbiotically?
No, it's been there from the start.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so that when you do your CrossFit level 1, which you pay...
Your white belt?
Yeah, you pay your 1,000 US. Wouldn't recommend doing it now with the exchange rate. But
is that for you as a CrossFit competitor or as the franchise owner?
So anyone can do their level 1 cert. You don't have to be anything to do with CrossFit. You can just pay your money, rock up, and do it.
Oh, hang on. So if I wanted to go CrossFit to a box, do I have to pay $1,000?
No. So that's the CrossFit's level 1 cert, and it goes up to level 5, I think. And there's not many level 5s, but that's your coaching certificate.
Oh, that's for the coaching. Gotcha.
And then once you pass that, you can become an affiliate, pay more money to CrossFit.
Yep.
Everyone's happy, except your accountant. So in the level 1 cert, you learn all of these things. And they have a prescription for diet, which you might have heard before, or it'll be familiar. I wrote it down for you, Tim. Where did I write it down? Eat meat and veg, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Keep intake levels that support exercise but not body fat.
Fair
so
enough.
What he's done there is put into words, eat real food and be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Pretty sensible, eh?
Yeah.
He does mention, and then so this is part of his definition of fitness as well. So
does he say anything about quiche in there?
Quiche.
Occasionally.
Don't eat quiche, it makes you gay. I'm not a homophobe, though, please. I hit everyone all the same. And so practice and train major lifts, deadlift, clean squat, presses, clean and jerk, snatch. Similarly, master the basics of gymnastics, pull-up, rope climbs, push-ups, sit-ups, press to handstands, pirouettes.
Pirouettes.
Still can't do them. Flips, splits, and holds. Bike run, swim, row, hard and fast. So when I started CrossFit, I was so lucky. Still a really good mate of mine, Tongan, like just one of the nicest humans. Falelelealalaofu. He's the biggest name in CrossFit in the world. It's got 36 letters and 4 apostrophes. So I met him through a friend that I used to work with, Vector, 2009. I was like, oh yeah, sounds like a bit of me, and you talk about going to Les Mills and not really having any idea of what you're doing. Like you can do your body measurements, but in terms of measuring your work, you can't do that in an RPM class.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh yeah. And I work in data, I work in geographic data. I'm like, oh, this sounds good. So I used to do CrossFit at Victoria Park, right on the doorstep of Les Mills. So my first coach was a guy called Darren Ellis, who still involved in fitness. He ran CrossFit NZ with, until a few years ago, Pat and Taz Barber, who moved to the States. So they moved to the States and worked at CrossFit NorCal. And one of the guys that I trained with, a guy called Michael Rankin, he went over to intern there with a guy called Jason Kalipa that won the 2008 CrossFit Games. And he brought me back this T-shirt. Michael's brother is now also does CrossFit, runs a CrossFit affiliate. His name's Daniel. He's become a Instagram influencer, and he runs a page called Man Can Cook. So he puts on some bangers, cooks some food with his dog, and it's hilarious. He's a very good-looking chap as well, but he's never been to regionals, but I have. In 2010, I got to the CrossFit regionals only because not many people did CrossFit then, so everyone that did CrossFit got to the regionals. And my wonderful partner nailed me. I was talking about the T-shirt that we got. I was like, oh, I wonder if I can get that. And she said, yeah, if you do get one, just make sure it fits over your belly now. So I feel very lucky to have had those people. And like, not just Pat and Taz and Darren, like they were the owners of CrossFit NZ, which was the first affiliate in New Zealand. They called it CrossFit NZ because they didn't think anyone would do it as well. So they first, and like the discipline I got there, like has stayed with me ever since. So lucky. Like just the focus on movement, the virtuosity of that. I mean, this is another bumper sticker, doing the common or the basics really well. So that's your wax on, wax off, you know? So I feel real lucky at that. And I'm like, I find as well, like I sort of protect myself when I'm in a workout. I'm almost lazy sometimes. I don't want to push the boundaries. And so if it gets hard, I find if I really tune in to the movement, I forget about how much it hurts. So that's something I'm like, make it look beautiful, everything. Yeah. It's not really a word that gets associated with me that often, but that's, be the Olympic level gymnast. Point your toes.
Focus on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Focus on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's mental. A lot of it's mental. Going through that pain is mental.
Yeah.
Physically. I go for a run, and I'll feel like, oh, I want to stop. And then if I actually take stock of things and go, do my legs, are you actually burning? Are you really in pain and about to collapse? No. Lungs, are you still pumping along all right? Yeah, you're all right. It's just my mind saying I've had enough.
100%.
And that's it. So then it simply becomes just internal battle with yourself to go, nah, going to keep going, going to keep going. Nah, stop. No, keep going. Keep stopping. Nah.
Yeah. I've got a coach, Callum Gifford, who is a genius CrossFit programmer, runs the Renegade program. He pointed out to me once, stop bitching out of workouts. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yep, fair call. And the other thing I've noticed is that how you are in a workout is how you are elsewhere.
Well, that's the thing. If you can use your workout to train your mind to focus and think about things rationally or calmly, then you can that's a learning you can take with you afterwards. It's
100%.
the same as if you build your muscle mass during a workout, you take that with you after the workout. I've started doing some of the cold showers. And so in the morning,
about to go there.
I get up in the morning, you're nice and warm, you don't get to bed, you're going to have a shower. What I've found is I cannot give myself time to think about it. If I'm going to do it, it's just got to be full noise, full cold, in and go. If I go, am I going to have a cold shower today? I'm going to talk myself out of it,
Where do you find the hardest bit to get cold in your body?
It's either the chest here or the back here. These areas.
It's the top of the spine.
Yeah.
So I was about to say, CrossFit sometimes is the hardest thing people do in their day unless they do ice baths. Yeah. Picking up a chest freezer tomorrow for ice baths.
Are you?
Yeah, proper.
Yeah, I should make something here out the backyard and
it's so good for you. So
give it a go.
Talking about health. Through health, I discovered so many things. One of which was the Wim Hof Method.
Oh, the breathing.
The breathing is unbelievable. Yeah, I did So part of the breathing is you hold your breath out for as long as you can. Last weekend, I reached 3 minutes and 9 seconds.
Is that what? That's one breath. Is that?
So you do 40 big breaths in.
Yep.
It's controlled hyperventilation.
Yep.
But like talking about health, I came to know the Wim Hof Method through CrossFit and sort of, I don't know. There's also like a within CrossFit, people that do CrossFit, they aren't sort of lemmings, you know. They want to question things. They want to not necessarily believe everything that they're told. Like, saturated fat is bad. You shouldn't squat beyond parallel. These are conventional things which are fucking bullshit. And so Wim Hof was something I found through the being interested in CrossFit. It came on my horizon.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the breathing is. So, I always felt like it was the ice baths were the most important part of it. I did a course the other weekend with a frickin' white wizard called Nigel Beach, who's a mind-body physiotherapist. And I'm like, wait a second, it's the breathing. It's the breathing.
Oh, well, that's with the. I don't have an ice bath, but I just do the cold showers. You know, like full on cold, and it's first of all trying not to scream and make noise. That's the first mental challenge. Just not to go fuck. It's cold because that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it's just to try to breathe it out instead of like just tensing up. Once I've got that, I want to try and do something with my brain. Like I want to like try and sing a song or do some math or something, like to get to that level of control. And then
that's exactly what you learn on this doing the Wim Hof is that to start with, it's cold, it's icy, it's nice. Yeah. You breathe out through your nose, and that changes the parasympathetic to the sympathetic.
Yes.
And so you breathe out through your nose, and you're like, okay, now I got it. I did a 3-minute ice bath in a test freezer a couple of weeks ago. It becomes addictive. The rush you get is addictive.
Yeah, it's interesting even in the shower. If you get past the first, I want to say, 15 seconds,
exactly,
then you're all good.
Yeah, you
actually feel your body feels warm. Yeah. That's what I notice. Yeah,
yes.
you feel kind of a warmth in yourself. I saw on YouTube just today, Joe Rogan getting into his ice bath, and like there's a big chunk of ice floating in there, but he just gets in with his camera. He's just talking through it, you know. But he's talking about the fact that I've done this a number of times now. I've been here. I know this. I can manage it because he's had the experience with it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah.
Who's Joe Rogan? I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, I know. He looks a bit like me. I think he's got a podcast
Joe Rogan. Somewhere. No.
Someone please make the Joe Rogan, the Dr. Evil mini-me meme for me. Someone watch my podcast and make that meme.
You should. So if you're the Kiwi, what's the Kiwi name that rhymes with Poe? Joe? Poe Rogan. You're Poe Rogan.
Want another one of these?
Yeah, why not?
You want to try the other flavour?
Yeah.
All right. That's your lavender and hibiscus.
Lavender? Is that Indian? Lavender?
Lavender.
Yeah, so like those early days of CrossFit, it was like, I'm doing something really different here. I thought, because I finished rugby when I was like 30, dislocated my shoulder. I thought, fuck it, it's triathlons for me. That sounds boring as shit. Mm-hmm. And then met Fale, started CrossFit. I'm like, this is it. And there's lots of, like those early days were so good.
Yeah.
So good. Like so many friends from that time.
Do they stick around? Like, do you find other people still from 10 years ago, 12 years ago when you were starting, still doing it?
Mostly. Yeah. So like some of the coaches, Darren Ellis, I say he's the guy that invented CrossFit in New Zealand. Patton Tasbarber, Amanda Bunn, Jojo Carmoody, Craig Leonard, Wesley Verhoof, Aaron McElwee, I mentioned earlier, Michael and Daniel Rankin, Joe McPhee. These are all people that are still... Some of them have moved more into Olympic lifting, but they are, you know, CrossFit is still their go-to. If they're not coaching in something, it's what they do for their movement.
See, if I was going to move into one of these option between, say, F45 and CrossFit as a business, I would definitely go the CrossFit way.
Yes. Now, that's an interesting thing to say.
As a business, this is from a business perspective. If I was a businessman and I wanted to make a successful business and they were my choices, I'd go CrossFit. From what I've heard, it just sounds to me to have those fundamental human boxes getting ticked off.
Yeah,
that's what's going to make people... And like if you'd said, all those dudes I used to go with, I never see them anymore, you'd be like, okay, something's not right.
Yes.
But the fact that you're saying all those dudes from 12 years ago are still in the business and still go to CrossFit, I'm like, well, fuck, that's a sustainable business model. You know?
100%. There aren't many CrossFit affiliate owners that are millionaires. I'd say that. But
no, well, how much do you pay to go to your box?
I don't even know. It's like 65 a week or something.
So that's a lot.
It is a lot, but how much is a personal trainer?
Oh, you're not 100%. I'm not saying that it's. I mean, comparing to go to another gym, say $20 a week, you probably get away with. So that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But then I guess then the challenge becomes, if you want to become the millionaire affiliate, you just need to have the space and have the good coaches.
Yes.
So you can have a number of classes running at different times.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm assuming there's no affiliate owners that are millionaires. But that said, the CrossFit as a brand in 2015.
I would say there would be.
Well, there is up the tree.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's none in New Zealand. But CrossFit in 2015, Forbes magazine assessed it to be worth $4 billion US.
Yeah. So what's you said there's about 12 or maybe 15 people in a class. That was a class.
Oh, it can be more, can be less.
That just depends on
average. Yeah.
That just depends on whose CrossFit gym it is and how big their gym is, perhaps. So some might have 8 if it's a small little space. That's all they can fit in is 8 people, and some have got 20 so then
exactly. So there are, because of the structure of it, you can actually do whatever you want after you're affiliated. It's not a franchise model, and so the idea is that the market will dictate who survives and who perishes. There are gyms that do one-on-one and use the CrossFit methodology. So you'll get a coach and you'll get a trainer. There aren't many of those in New Zealand. There's a few in Sydney. But yeah, and it's also important to differentiate CrossFit, the fitness methodology, from the CrossFit Games, where that 4 billion number, I think, comes from. That's the CrossFit Games is the pinnacle of the competitive side of the sport. And so every year you have the CrossFit Open, which not everyone, but anyone can enter. Mm-hmm. And so if you do CrossFit, your gym will probably run the open workouts as a class. You can donate $20 to CrossFit if you want, get a GST receipt and claim the donation back. And
what's an open workout?
The CrossFit Open, the Australian call it the Opens, which is terrible English, but I mean, that's what they do with English. Oh wait, you're Australian, sorry. So that's like, it's now 3 workouts on consecutive weekends. Used to be 5.
And so this is a common format that all gyms know, so you can practice the open workout, like what's going to happen when you go, no?
So that's the other bumper sticker with CrossFit, is it's unknown and unknowable.
Right.
So
okay.
You
don't know what's going to be there at the competition day, so you better be good at everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that then plays into the military, the police, the paramedicine relationship with CrossFit, where those guys need to be ready for anything.
Yeah.
And so you have to, and that's been a big part of it. There's a big connection with the military. They have, when a soldier dies in action, they often come up with what's called a hero workout, which is a memorial workout in the name of that soldier. So there's one called Murph that you may have heard of. That is after Lieutenant Murphy, which was depicted in the movie The Lone Survivor. Remember that movie? I think Mark Wahlberg's in it. He's not Murph. So Murph these are hard workouts as well. It's a 1.6K run. 100, let me get this right, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups.
How many days have you got to do this?
3. Well, it takes, yeah, I'll see you Tuesday. So it's 100, what did I say?
Pull-ups.
100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, another 1.6K run. It's about a 50-minute workout, 50 to an hour, but you can partition it. That's called Murph. That's the original hero workout. So there is that connection with the military and tactical guys that CrossFit's perfect for them, because it's the return of investment on your time that you put into CrossFit is better than anything, really. Where were we going with that?
I don't know, but just on that, I wanted to ask. So, what's a class like? What's the structure of a class? How's it run when you get there? So what happens?
So, for my gym, and I train at Renegade in East Tamaki, and I get fussy. I'm a bit fussy with my CrossFit gyms because I've been doing it for a while. I know what I like, and they are all different. But the programming at Renegade it's heavy and it's hard. They have a lot of competitive athletes there. Mm-hmm. But the other side, another bumper sticker is CrossFit is about avoiding decrepitude. So it's that longevity. And so the needs, and this is another fuck, I'm full of bumper stickers. The needs of a 90-year-old grandma and a 15-year-old kid are at some level the same. Like a grandma getting off the toilet after having a shit is a squat. They need that. The same as a 15-year-old does. And it's the other thing that CrossFit has is scaling. So that what they say is the needs of every human is the same. It's the scaling that's different. So I'll go into a gym. My gym has what they call the CrossFit program and the functional fit program, which is it's a lower demand program. So there's no barbell movements in there. It's more dumbbells to build up the base you need for CrossFit. So the program will be posted online. And the reason I go to Renegade is the program is so good. I really like it. And that, if the programming is good, that becomes a real foundation of the gym. So Zach and Callum run, used to be called CrossFit East Tamaki. They've moved away from using CrossFit in their name. So it's now called Renegade Fitness. And those two guys, like, just really fucking good humans. And so I'll rock up, I'll book in. If there's any running, I probably won't book in. I'll avoid it and I'll cherry pick the class. I'll rock up 6 a.m. We'll get briefed on the class. The class will be on a screen in the background.
That's the exercises you're going to do.
Yep. And so sometimes I'll even check and I'll just, roll with it. So we'll get briefed. We'll warm up what we need to warm up for the movements we're going to do. There'll often be a strength piece or a skill piece before the conditioning piece, which is the sexy Metcon. And so that's like the metabolic conditioning piece, which is what you would know as the workout, but it's a class, right? So you'll do some strength, some skills, or some sort of stability, mobility stuff, and then you'll do the workout, and you're done in an hour, and you're on with your day.
But like, how does it run? Someone who's never been to a CrossFit box gym before, is it stations around the room, or like? Not
really stations. It's not like a traditional circuit training thing. You have all the equipment, and then you get out the equipment onto the floor. It's basically a warehouse with all the equipment around the sides. You've got barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells, boxes for box jumps, ab mats, skipping ropes, whatever, and a pull-up rig as well. And so you'll rock up, and every session is coached, and the coach has to be at least a level 1, otherwise they're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So you'll get out the equipment you need. You'll have your equipment.
Yeah.
It's like today, for example, on Saturdays, some gyms do a partner workout, but usually you're just working on your own. But the partner workout's a different thing because you're working with someone else. So you often find you push yourself a bit harder. So you get your equipment out, you'll warm up, you'll do the strength or the skill piece.
And so when that happens, is everyone is it timed? So say you've got to do 100 push-ups and 100 squats.
Yeah.
And then 50 handstands or something.
Yeah.
How does that roll around? Like, do you have to do your 100 and you just go as fast as you can, and I do mine and I finish mine 10 minutes after you, or do you have 5 minutes for your push-ups, and if you miss out on completing them, tough luck? How does the coach control a room?
So that's the program dictates what that is, and so that's where the constantly varied is, right? So you could do 100 push-ups and 200 sit-ups, whatever you said, for time, and the time would be the priority. So you're prioritizing how fast you can do the work, right? But you could also do 10 push-ups and 20 sit-ups in 10 rounds. So that's what they call as AMRAP, as many rounds as possible or as many reps. So you're sort of changing the stimulus, but you're doing the same amount of work.
Yeah, okay.
And so the program dictates that.
So what's an example of a program, other than the Murph one? Like, what's an example of a program you might turn up on a Thursday morning, and what would it be?
Oh, it could be anything, really, literally anything. But it was like, for example.
An example.
Okay. I could read out what we did yesterday on my phone's charging. But so you could turn up and you do a 5x5 front squat to start with. And what I found is that it doesn't matter what the problem is. The answer is usually squats. So I like squats. And then you might do a sort of, and the good programmers will sometimes program things that resonate with each other. So from squats, you might then do something that uses a squat movement in the workout, like thrusters, which is a front squat into a press.
With a bar.
With a bar.
Yep.
So you might do that. And so...
and would that be like, so... Example, is it 50? Is it 50 squats, or how? Like, what is a pro?
Okay, let's go with this. So you do front squats to start.
Yeah.
That would be your 5x5. That would.
What's 5x5 mean?
Five rounds of 5 reps.
Oh, okay.
And that's the strength piece of the class.
So 25 squats is what you do. 5 rounds.
Yeah.
5 reps.
And the measurement there is the weight that you finish
the weight
on.
that you.
That's the domain.
And is that a multiplication? Is that like I'm lifting 100 kilos, so that's 100 times 5 squats times 5 reps, or is it just that I'm doing 100? Like, how do you measure yourself?
Sort of where you finish. So you'd calculate your weight as a percentage of your 1 rep max, which you would sort of estimate. I mean, I'm so old now, I just sort of go on the day. And so if your 1 rep max was 165, which mine is, you would then say, I'm going to do 80% 5x5 or whatever it is.
Okay.
And so that's how you would calculate your weight. And so you'd have that strength piece. And then, for example, you would do, CrossFit has a bunch of benchmark workouts, which are named after girls, because Coach Glassman, enough said. So they have like Annie, which is 50 double unders, which is a double skip.
Oh, yeah.
You do 50 of them, 50 sit-ups, 40-40, 30-30, 20-20, 10-10. That's a benchmark workout. The original benchmark is called Fran, which it's hard.
What is it?
So a key tenet of CrossFit is 21-15-9. So you do 21 reps of a thruster at 40 kilos. or whatever the Americans are using for measurement these days. Guns, I think, isn't it? So you do 21 thrusters, 21 pull-ups, 15 thrusters, 15 pull-ups, 9 thrusters, 9 pull-ups. And so the idea there is that 21, after doing 21 of those two, 15 should feel about the same as 21.
Yeah.
And then 9 should feel the same. I've never had that happen, but that would be a class. That would be the conditioning piece of a class.
Because that's the conditioning piece of a class.
Yeah.
And so that would be based on time, that one, would it be?
That's
how quickly
as fast as you can. And the record for that is something like 1 minute 20.
Jesus.
Do all of that? Yeah.
Jesus.
There was no urine sample taken at that point, just to emphasize that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It shows you how fit you can get, though.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly right. And that's got the reputation of being the hardest benchmark workout. They used to do it at the level 1 cert. So they don't anymore, but the level 1 cert, you would do the Fran workout. Everyone would do it at some point in the weekend. They've simplified it a bit.
And so when it comes to a competition then, let's just say that there's a competition and Fran is the workout. Are the competitions at CrossFit split by sex? Like, is it men competing with men? Okay.
Usually.
Okay.
But you do get mixed competitions where everyone's mixed.
And so if they do that, then how do they do the scaling? Like how? Because obviously you're not going to lift a girl's probably not going to lift as much as you would. So how do you kind of normalize that so you can choose that she won?
I know some girls that do. So they.
But in general.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really good question. So normally the ladies' weights are about 70%, 70 to 80% of the men's. I think for Fran, it's 42 kilos for the guys, and I think I want to say 35, but I might be picking that out my ass. So it's about 70%. Mm-hmm. So there is a differentiation there.
Yeah.
And so for the competitions. The open competition, the workout gets released on a Thursday evening New Zealand time, and you have the following weekend until Tuesday morning to do it.
Right.
So that's unknown and unknowable, but they do make the open workouts to be as inclusive as possible. Like one of the first open workouts was 7 minutes of burpees. And that was it.
That was it.
As many burpees as you can do in 7 minutes.
That's cool.
And that's inclusive, that everyone invariably can do that.
Do women win that? Are women better at burpees than men? I could imagine that if you're a slightly smaller frame, you get through those quick movements faster and you probably rack up more numbers.
I've noticed that women have a higher pain threshold than men, and so they can go deeper into workouts. And that's a good job. Otherwise,
because I imagine if I was training at the same amount of time as you, and like say, my friend Ed, you big guys, I imagine I'd beat you on burpees. Yeah. Purely because I'm smaller than you, so I get quicker through it.
100%. But then, so another bumper sticker for CrossFit is that it makes you fit across 10 different things. Yeah. Right. So for CrossFit, if you had a deadlifter and a runner in CrossFit, you could outrun a deadlifter and out deadlift a runner. Yeah. And so it's exactly that. Like,
so in a competition, like when it gets to the CrossFit Games, I imagine they've got something that's good for the deadlifter and something that's good for the runner, and to equalize you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so I did a really interesting competition earlier this year with a guy that I work with called Charlie Wang, and there were 6 workouts, and it was a team of 2, and each person would do 3 of the 6 workouts. But there was like a sort of certain emphasis in each workout. So you'd need to pick your partner whose strengths were not the same as yours. So it's really interesting. Yeah. And I think we came second on a countback. But Charlie Wang is... a bit worried about him, actually. After the first workout, he went so ham. He was in the fetal position on the floor. I go, mate, you're right. He goes, yeah, just got a migraine. I'm like, doesn't fucking look like it, bro. So that was a really interesting workout. But yeah, so for the open, you find out the workout on the Thursday, and then everyone that does CrossFit does the open.
Around the world.
Around the world. So it could be like 250,000 people doing the same workout on the same weekend.
Yeah.
And then you have like the champs doing it.
And your coach records your time, do they? Or whatever.
You have to, you video it.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're
competing, you got to video.
If you want to go to the next level, you have to video it.
Yeah.
And you have a judge.
Yeah.
Always a judge at CrossFit.
So that you're doing your burpees properly and you're not cheating on it.
So that's it. There's standards of movement.
Yeah.
Like, you know, any squat movement has to go beyond parallel. Any push-up has to be chest to deck.
Yeah.
Everything is full extension.
Yeah.
And so you have to open, and then the top, I think it's like 2%, will move on to the next round. But you have like open grade, and then you have masters, teenagers, and then a thing that's come recently, which I think is awesome, is the disability grades, if you like. So, but what they do is they specify what your disability is. Like all the amputees are in the same, and it's like upper or lower limb.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you have a brain issue. They're all in the same. It's so good.
Yeah.
So inclusive. And so then you have to open, and then you move on to quarterfinals, which is online. The same as the open. It's all online. And so you do it in your own box, and you video it, submit your scores. And then you have the semi-finals, which is basically what the regionals are that Dan Rankin has never done now. So that's in, at the moment, they do those in Brisbane. They used to do them in Wollongong in Aussies, because the region that we're in is the Australasia Pacific region.
Yeah.
So you go to a competition called the Torium Pro, which is an event, like it's massive, and it's awesome. So everyone, like all the top athletes, which a lot of them are just guys in your gym, which is cool. You see them on there and they're doing it.
Yeah.
From there, they then qualify to the CrossFit Games. Now, I think it's really important to differentiate CrossFit the sport from CrossFit the methodology, because what can happen is people see the CrossFit Games, and the next thing is they're doing pegboards up their gym wall and freaking hurting themselves. The objective of when you get to the CrossFit Games, the objective is to test these athletes, to see who is, under the definition of fitness, the fittest. Yeah. So they often throw things into that people have never seen.
Yeah.
And literally, like, there's been times where they've briefed a workout to the athletes at the games, and they literally go 3, 2, 1, go. And they start it like there. So you've got to be ready for anything. It's pretty awesome. And it's big money, you know, like $4 billion a year in 2015. Yeah. Like Aperol itself this year was something like 130 million US. Like this, it's an industry.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like you'd know Rogue equipment.
No,
the bumper plates, you'd see them with Rogue. No. Have you got a TV?
Yeah. Not how you use it very often.
Yeah. I mean, and also like this, CrossFit's been a real catalyst for lots of things. Like, you know, that 22, 23 million, that must exclude Lululemon.
Is that part of it?
That's more probably in the yoga segment, but like things like yoga, like Lululemon, you know, there's a big synergy between CrossFit and Lululemon because of the health message. Sports like Olympic lifting have really benefited.
I've never understood Lululemon as a brand for men because of the logo. Because the logo looks like a woman.
Vagina?
No, the logo looks like an old sort of 60s woman's hair.
Yeah, like, that's right. Just checking my shorts.
Yeah, like is that what it is? A woman's hair?
Yeah.
Is that what it looks like?
That's it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I'd always sort of, to me, that it always seemed like a weird thing for men in an area of like physical strength to adopt a brand which has such a feminine logo.
Yeah.
I thought
it's certainly
because when you look at other logos, you know, that guys make for they're fighting and all this. It's like it's fists and skulls and it's those sort of masculine things. It's always intrigued me that Lululemon is so dominant in the sporting field, and the sport apparel field.
Yeah,
and particularly a whole heap of guys wear it too. Interesting.
Yeah, it's actually the best brand for CrossFit because it's so hard wearing. Like they never wear out, literally never wear out, and they put a lot of effort into the design of them. It is a yoga brand, so it has a sort of feminine slant, if you like. But yeah, I wear a lot of Lululemon. Funnily enough, a really nice gay guy at the gym gave me some Lululemon, so read into that what you will.
I'm just surprised that there's not a men's sports apparel brand that's come out like Lululemon. You've got your traditional sporting ones, like there's Adidas, there's Nike, like everyone.
That's general, though.
That's your general. That's exactly. Whereas Lululemon has just become, for me, like that's the most well-known sports apparel brand I can think of as Lululemon. But I don't know the male one, and it's not there.
Yeah,
or maybe it is. But I don't. That's the thing. I don't know it.
I guess it
not
feels
exclusively
feminine, though.
No, it's not.
They got some really nice clothes. Some of my favorite work shirts are Lululemon.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's an interesting branding model because it just doesn't seem like a normal branding approach to have such a feminine logo, and Lulu, it's a woman name.
Yeah, true.
To market that to men, I would have thought you'd have, I don't know, whatever, like Bones or something like that, stiff, well, no better word than that, turgid, something like that. We've got guys that go, that's me, I'll get that gear.
I reached out to a supplier on Alibaba.com to try and get gorilla face kettlebells.
Gorilla face. See, there's a more masculine sort of.
Actually, that's that Joe Rogan. He part owns Onnit, the brand Onnit, and they sell gorilla. They call them primal kettlebells, and I'm like, I really want one of them. Yeah. But the shipping was $400 US alone. I'm like,
through AliExpress.
No, this was from Onnit.
Oh,
and
right.
I'm like, oh well. So then I went to AliExpress. I'm like, okay, how's this going to go? If I get them for this price, I can sell them for this price, and the minimum order is 3,000 kilos. I'm like,
It's a lot of.
They don't negotiate either. They're like, this is the price. If you like it, fuck off.
Yeah.
Or if you don't like it, fuck off. But so that's a masculine brand. But I think what I found, is that a lot of guys get Lululemon from their significant other.
Interesting. I got given for my birthday by my significant other a couple of years ago this clothing, which I never would have thought that she would have chosen for me.
Yeah.
It was all really casual, really baggy streetwear. And yet when we talk about the stuff that I wear, I always get the impression that she would much prefer me in like a suit, good looking, smart outfits. And then she bought me that stuff and I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to wear that. And she was like, really? I'm like, yeah, really? Did you really think that was what I was going to wear? It was a weird misconnect.
And did you?
No, I sent it back. It was shit.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I had a pair of Lululemon work pants, like black trousers.
Yeah.
And I was working in Hamilton for a bit, and people would be like, "Oh, you got something stuck on your trousers," and it'd be the logo. Welcome to Hamilton. But
hey, let's take a 5-minute.
Yeah, cool.
I can take a wee.
Yeah, me too.
We'll come back and do part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Are we gonna? How long have we been?
1 hour 20.